Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. We have our virtual studio open, and we have a couple of gentlemen who are joining us who are both individually award-winning artists, and they've come together for a project that has now made both of them Grammy Award nominated artists. Matt B and Eddy Kenzo with us. Their single is "Gimme Love," and it is nominated in the Best Global Soul category. Did I have that right?
Best Global Music Performance.
Best Global Music Performance for this year's Grammys. So a lot of times we have folks who, have just been nominated or they were nominated, and we're talking after the Grammys. So in this upcoming Grammys, Matt B, Eddy Kenzo nominated for Best Global Vocal Performance. So first of all, I'm going to start with you, Matt. You're originally from Chicago, now in LA, and your path has been interesting because we were talking before you released your debut U.S. project in 2019, 2020, but you've been releasing projects since 2014 overseas, where you've had #1 albums. So talk about that process to go kind of like the other way. A lot of artists are doing their thing here in the States and then making their way overseas. But you came the other way, being from here.
Yeah, the market overseas is just it for lack of a better term is wide open because people overseas are very receptive. They're very receptive of the music as long as it feels good and it's relatable. And for me, being an artist from the United States and realizing that, my team and I were like, we have to make the best of that. So back in like 2014, like I was telling you earlier, I signed a deal with Starbase Records, and they wanted my first album. They actually hit me up on YouTube. I didn't know who they were, but I took that leap of faith, and that first album ended up doing well. Distributed in over 1,400 stores across Japan, and it ended up going #1 on iTunes for R&B in Japan, and consecutively my second album did the exact same thing. Some of that music ended up getting leaked over to China. I just found out about not too long ago, and I found out that I ended up with over 150 million streams on one of the records, and then they just cascaded downward from there. So it just goes to show, like, when you're talking music, as long as you're doing something that's relatable and doing something that feels good, a lot of people are going to relate to it.
Absolutely. So now, Eddy Kenzo, you are a multi-award-winning artist from Uganda, and you've won Nickelodeon awards, you've won BET awards, and you're a 5-time Afrima, hopefully I'm saying that right, award winner, and most recently, I think, for Best Male Artist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about your journey in your music, because that's a wide range of awards to win for, like Nickelodeon with a kids project, and then BET, and then of course in your home country, and now you're on this project here in the U.S. and being nominated for a Grammy Award.
Yeah.
So talk about your music a little bit for those of us who are not as familiar with you, because obviously you're a huge star for many people around the world, but there are some of us who do not know as much
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah. My name is Eddy Kenzo, and I'm from Uganda in the eastern part of Africa. So I do music, and I do Ugandan music, Afrobeat for Africa, and I do world music. I do music for everybody using my own craft. I create music from myself to the world. Like, I create art and put it out there for people to know about me and what I do, just to make them happy. And that's my dream, is to make people happy. And I'm grateful that I've created music, and this music has gone viral, crossed so many boundaries. I've performed almost 35 states in the United States. I've performed everywhere in Europe. I performed to over 45 countries in Africa. I've maintained being on a mainstream artist for almost like 12 years now in Africa. And Here I am. I've done quite amazing myself. Yeah.
Right. So now both of you are not only artists, but you are, obviously in the business side of it as well. Matt, you talked about you and your team strategically looking at how to, put yourself out and going overseas first before really tackling the U.S. market. Eddie Kenzo, you are an artist, but you are also, I think, the president of the entertainment company that you're with. Is it was something like that? If I
Yeah.
had that correctly. So talk about that in terms of balancing, being an artist, but also being the president of the entertainment label, or you know, being the manager, or managing yourself, and really
Yeah.
you're taking a real vested interest in your own art and in your business, as they talk about show business.
Yeah. Uh, Me, the reason why I started doing that, like promoting other artists and promoting, uh, because I wanted, I come from the ghetto. I'm a former street kid. I
Mm,
sleep on the street for some good time. I was homeless for a long time. And when I came out, I felt like I need to go back to my community and help those people that really need it. Because I suffered a lot when I was young. I wanted to do music. I wanted to be who I wanted to be, but I couldn't manage because I didn't have anyone to help me. So when I got
mm,
this opportunity, that's why I opened up Big Talent Entertainment so that I can use it to lift other people. Um, I've worked with the ghetto kids. I've gone to the ghetto kids, put them on the music, massacre kids, different kind of kids dancing on the music, and they've gone viral. They've danced on the French Montana and Swedish song, and it has over 1 billion views. And we've done a couple projects. They performed on the BET. They we tried to do what, but I do that because I want to help. I want to give a
mm,
hand to my people where I come from. So basically, I balance. I know how to do both. I know how to
mm.
focus on myself and then also to focus on them because I believe we have to move together.
Absolutely. And Matt, for you, have you always done all your own writing and production and stuff along the way when you were, as you've been in this journey since your first release in 2014?
Well, um, I believe in co-collaborations. I think that they're very important, but I also believe in ownership, which is why
Mm,
even prior to signing any of the deals that I did, I started my own independent label called Vita Records. I've been signing all of my contracts through my own label for a very long time now, since about 2014. Along with my wife, she's also a part owner of the label.
mm,
And likewise, like, we believe that ownership is just very important, and that um, that is really what is going to make the biggest difference in anyone's career. And that's what we did when we signed the contract in Japan. That's what we did when we signed the contract with Priority Records. That's what we did when we eventually moved from Priority to another distributor. And that's what we continue to do. And as for like, reaching back down to other artists and trying to make sure we're giving them opportunities, or trying to make sure that we're at least giving them some sort of strategic advice as to how to navigate this music industry, I think is very important. Especially it, navigating the U.S. industry. It's all about money. It's all about who you
mm,
know. It's all about the connections that you have. And a lot of times people won't take that chance on you unless you have a budget or something along those lines. But for me, I'm all about trying to give advice and trying to give as much help as possible to artists who may not be as far along as I am, or may be struggling to an extent and may be wondering, like, how come I'm not getting those opportunities, or how come I'm not getting those chances. But a lot of times it's because they're not gambling on themselves. And in this US
mm.
industry, if you don't put that gamble on yourself, nobody else will be willing to put it on you either.
Right, right, right. You talk about collaboration, which brings me to the two of you. How did the two of you come together for this song, "Gimme Love"?
Well, we met in LA, ironically, because that's where we're at right now, right? We met
Yeah.
last year at an FYC event, and
Mm,
we ended up sitting right next to one another, and we ended up hitting it off right away. And then from there, we decided like we wanted to hit the studio, and it was like perfect timing for me anyway, because I was working on, like I told you earlier, the Afrobeats project that I was doing. So to have Eddy be like, hey, you know, let's do a record, it was something that I was looking for anyway. So we hit the studio right away. The first beat that Eddy played for me was the record that became Gimme Love. And initially I was like, I like this beat, but I want to hear something else. But my wife, Angela, was like, oh, no, this is the one. I think you guys should do this record. So we went into the studio. We kind of caught a vibe with one another. And we like basically the record was just like pretty much a freestyle. It wasn't us like sitting down and trying to write something in particular as much as it was us kind of just, we had a lot of synergy together and we were trying to manifest that into the record. And I think that's why it feels so good, because I feel like we captured the essence of what it felt like in that room in that moment.
And I guess that's a lesson for all of us married men. Listen to the woman, right? And she she said that's the one, and here you are now nominated for a Grammy because that was the beat. Eddy, you know how, like a lot of us on the outside, we hear records and we think about what the process is when artists are they in the studio together. Matt talked about how, you know, it was like all freestyle. It sounds like it was just a fun process and you just really kind of went into it just about having the music, you know, be something of enjoyment, not just for the artists but for yourselves as well.
This project was so fun because from the beginning, you know, in studio, it was a very good atmosphere. For me, these guys came with their three lovely kids, and me, I love family myself. So it gave me, I really loved them, and I did whatever I did from the bottom of my heart. I was happy because, and that's why everything could just flow because I wanted to do it. I love seeing people together. I love seeing unity. You know, I love seeing people coming together to do something they want, and that's why they won my heart. And everything's just kept on flow. That's why it was kind of a freestyle because everything was natural. You know, it came from the heart. Yeah.
Right, right. Is that now? This Matt. You said you were already working on an Afrobeats project. Well, so was this the only song you guys worked on together, or are there others?
So this is the only song that we've done together so far, which is really just crazy to think about, right? Because here we are, from two completely different worlds, but with a very similar story. With him coming from the ghettos of Uganda and myself coming from the ghettos of Chicago, and it was that love and the love not only for one another, but the love for music that kind of brought us together and allowed us to create this masterpiece. So there are more records on the way for sure. But I think that we knocked it out of the park with this one, and obviously we don't judge things based off of opinions. We judge things based off of results, and the result truly is that we are Grammy nominated, and we can say that today. And that to me, and I'm sure Eddy feels the same way, shows that the music is where it needs to be, and that is only up from there.
Right, and it's a lesson because you both are independent artists, and you have your own, you know, labels, entertainment companies, etc. So it's coming from a independent music space to be nominated for a Grammy Award, the most recognized prize or award in music in this country. You know, and I'm sure it's, you know, it'll just travel the world as well because it was also released in other countries as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. The whole song was released internationally, so it went all around the world, and I think people have been very receptive to the record.
So I'm sure this will be only the first, and we're claiming now the first of many awards. We're just putting it out there that you guys will win the Grammy, and it'll be the first of many awards in this award season for the both of you.
Most definitely, and even right now, Gimme Love has over 20 awards that is won from the summertime up until making it to this Grammy nomination. So we felt very confident in the body of work that we created, and we felt like it was very strong and it was worthy of at least being considered. And we're just very grateful that now it is that now we have the nomination, and we're hoping that we can bring this nomination home. But even if we don't bring it home, we're just so grateful to even have the nomination, and that
Yeah.
truly is like that ultimate cosign, and it's enough, you know.
Right, right, right. What else is up for the both of you? Because obviously you're creatives, you're business people, you're continuing to work. So what else is coming up on the docket for both of you?
Uh, Honestly, there's a lot coming because right now we need to use this platform
Mm-hmm.
to continue doing amazing work for the people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
time right now. My people, where in the world where I come from, they're all now paying attention to my brother Matt B right now, and I feel like we need to sit down and we start creating more on how do we move from one step to the next one.
Mm. And Matt,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I agree with what Eddie is saying. I think that it's very important that him and I go back in and we give the people what they want. That they really are looking for a few more records from myself and Eddie, and I think they're very excited about it, and it's something that that opened up the U.S. market to Uganda even more so than what Eddie has
Yeah.
already done, and it
mm-hmm.
kind of put
Mm-hmm.
Uganda even more so on that platform of saying, hey, you know, we do fantastic music and it deserves to be recognized. And likewise for myself, coming from Chicago, we know that there are great vocalists and artists that have come from Chicago, but from the R&B side of things, it's been looking a little light lately for the male R&B singers. So for me to
Mm.
be able to represent for my city and to be able to say, hey, look, you know, Chicago, we still make great music. We still have great male R&B vocalists who are willing to put on for the city. I think there's nothing more like that. And I also have other projects down the pipeline. I'll Keep It On being my EP that's going to be
Mm.
released in early 2023. We have a
Okay.
really big rollout for that. We have a whole bunch of music videos that we plan on shooting across the entire continent of Africa for that, and just
Mm.
trying to just put in a lot of work. So, you know, definitely be on the lookout for the records that both Eddie and I are doing together, as well as the overall EP that I'll be doing. And I think Eddie, even though he didn't mention it, I think he has an album on the way. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Eddie, put it out there. Let people know what's coming.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna put it out soon.
All right. So why don't we do this before we go? Why don't you both give all the social media info so people can, excuse me, follow you individually and or collectively.
Me is Eddy Kenzo. Eddy Kenzo is EDDY, then Kenzo, as in KENZO. Uh,
Okay.
or everywhere. It is verified everywhere on all socials. It is verified. Eddy Kenzo. You see EDDY, then Kenzo. Then you
Okay.
gotta connect with me, and then yeah, man, enjoy yourself.
All right. All right. Matt.
And you can follow me at Matt World. That's MATTB World, and that's across all social media platforms. And just step into my world, because once you do, I guarantee you don't want to leave. It's a lot of fun. So that's the way we do it.
Excellent. Excellent. It's been great talking to y'all. Matt B, Eddy Kenzo, Grammy nominated Best Global Vocal Performance.
Music performance.
Music performance, best global music performance for their single "Gimme Love." Again, we're putting it out there, putting the positivity and claiming a Grammy Award for these two brothers coming from the independent side of things, and showing that we can take the top prize in music independently and don't have to be dependent on the quote unquote major labels or major business entities, so to speak. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. We certainly look forward to hearing more from you. Look forward to the individual projects, the collaborative projects. You'll keep letting us know what's going on so we can keep sharing the word.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
All right, it's Rhythm and Soul Radio. We're going to get into Gimme Love right now. Rhythm and Soul Radio.